Crashes involved in these packages feature our commentary team. So I'm currently literally sitting between Mark Scaife and Craig Lowndes, making sure, not that I'm much of a roadblock, that they don't get anywhere near each other as we get ready for some GT action right now. Race car drivers, Craig, never let things go.
No, it was Scaife's fault all the time. I can only say that because he hasn't got a microphone to respond.
Well, let's carve out some more history at this place then with the GTs. This is the Fanatec GT World Challenge Australia. Last time we saw fabulous GT racing here was back in 2017. First of 3 races. And the driver who is listed as driver 1 is the driver who must start this race. And for pretty much every combination, that is the AM-rated driver. So Yasser Shahin, your championship leader and reigning champion, is in car 1. And he'll be starting this one on the front row. And he'll be alongside Liam Talbot. So that'll be a good little battle between those two before the pit stop window opens. I'll run you through the grid and how they're stacking up right now. Championship battle is on the front row. Behind them, we've got Tony Bates, who's a very seasoned campaigner in GT racing. And that is going to be a big fight with Ross Palakis, who's done a really good job to qualify inside the top 4 spots. Sergio Perez, he'll be sharing that car with Brad Schumacher. And we do have car 88 back out there, which is good news. Abubakar Ibrahim and Jamie Whincup, they're able to get that car fixed. And we do have a couple of GT4s to watch out for as well. There'll be Mark Griffith starting car 19. He'll be handing that one over to Paul Morris. But Craig, sadly, only one 888 car returns.
Yeah, I went down there during or since their qualifying, and yeah, the 888, unfortunately, because it come into a sudden stop on that concrete barriers, that has rippled all the front rails, so that wasn't going to be repaired. They did have a really good look at the 88 car, because as it went in on a 45 degrees, they're just more worried that the front rail had moved across, which thankfully it hadn't. The tyre bundle's done its job, but again, for the Prince that's in that 88 car now, it's the first time it's been on track since the repairs, so he's got to make sure that he's got no vibrations and nothing peculiar or unpeculiar going on, obviously, as we start this 40-minute race.
Yep, 40 minutes on the clock. 2x2 rolling start. We love GT racing here in Adelaide. A lot of history with these beautiful cars here, even dating back to sports car racing at the turn of the millennium here. How cool that was, with prototypes roaring around this circuit. Talbot, the pole man, he'll be starting alongside South Aussie Yasser Shahin. Watch out for Bates and Palakis in behind them. Palakis is in the Mercedes. Behind him is the 888 car. As we go racing in Adelaide, the Fanatec GT World Challenge Australia, they use up those curbs, so violent in a GT3. Who can hold their nerve down towards turn 4? It's Talbot with the lead as the Audis have at it down here at turn 4. The door was slightly open then for a moment. Bates, can he sneak up the inside of Shahin? That was close.
And you got to remember, they're on cold tyres. They're still getting tyre temp and tyre pressures going on. You can hear the tyres screaming and protesting as they're going through turn 7 now. But that was a pretty interesting opening lap. You can see there, Liam Talbot's now got a little bit of a handy, almost a second lead over Yasser Shahin. And these two, as you mentioned, are going to be interesting when they get through that pit stop cycling, because some have got to pit a little bit longer than others.
Liam's been toe-to-toe with the Shahin family all year long, whether it be Yasser's brother Sam running around in Carrera Cup, or here in the GTs fighting with Yasser Shahin, who's the reigning champion. Very fast AM-rated drivers, the two Shahins. And it's Yasser here who's on the charge, trying to chase down that Shannon's Insurance Audi. And further back in the pack, have a look at the congestion here. The beautiful Bentley buried in between a sea of Audi R8s.
Well, this is going to be very different to what they experienced through practice and qualifying, because now they're all bunched up. I've talked about the aero dependence on these cars. When you're following another car, you've got not only getting that disturbed air, or that turbulent air, you're getting the hot air off their brakes and exhaust as well. A lot of these cars, especially the Audis, the exhaust come out straight out the back. So you've got all that hot air coming down over your car, which then limits your grip that you've got. So trying to attack these corners like you did in practice and qualifying, you're going to run wide. You hopefully don't run into a concrete wall. See, nice, got it done. Left the door open.
Mike Sini doing a nice job there, committing down the inside, and the door was left open.
So at the moment, everyone's playing nicely. Bates is now getting up to speed, set the fastest first sector, which is almost half a second better than Liam Talbot in the lead and Yasser Shahin. So these 3 AM drivers are very, very even in the sense of their way they drive in their lap time. So this is going to be a great battle between these three. As you mentioned, Chad, there's a little bit of a difference in their pit stop strategies in the sense of their timings. And then when you get the pro drivers in, that's when it's going to be exciting.
Here we go. That's a classic turn 9 move. Breaking a straight line. Oh, crunch. That's Bentley into Mercedes down there at turn 9.
You talked about how strong the Bentley is, and it is almost a tank. It's unbelievably strong. We saw them running around Bathurst, hitting and kissing up against concrete walls and still maintaining good lap time. So that little bit of contact wouldn't have hurt the Bentley. May have done a little bit to the under tray of the Mercedes in front of him, but that Bentley is a tough nut.
Yeah, that was Sheargold and Belford getting together. Matty Belford making his debut in the series, out there enjoying the Bentley. Loves his motor racing. Runs his own business in Albert Park. His actual office overlooks the Albert Park Grand Prix precinct, which is very cool.
Now this is a good sign for Liam Talbot. He's opened up now almost a 2.6 second gap over Yasser Shahin, and he's also now set the fastest first sector. So Liam's now getting up to speed and getting more comfortable every lap that goes on. There's that Cup car amongst all these sea of Audis.
Tommy Sargent
going
wheel.
6 and now into 7.
He's only about 17, 18 years of age here. Tom Sargent, so getting some valuable laps here.
You watch this. This is where the Porsche's got the advantage over these GT3s. He's got the top end. You can see him close up into turn 8. Won't have the aero going through turn 8, but then he'll have this little run down to turn 9. And again, it closes right up. So this is the benefit of the Porsche over the Audi. But then the Audi, with that extra braking, the ABS, the traction control, he'll just drive away, and there it is. That opens up that gap through 9.
Pretty handy race engineer in pit lane, calling the shots for car 14 on that Porsche. Multiple Bathurst winner Stephen Richards knows his way around a Porsche Cup car too. There's Richo. Riders on here, that's Sergio Perez. Not to be mistaken with Sergio Perez in the 55. That's an older trophy car, which is essentially older model GT3 up against a newer model GT3 with Prince Abu Bakr Ibrahim behind the wheel. So they are fighting for position, but they're also 3 different classes there. Polakas in GTM and the GT3 of Perez, and then you've got Ibrahim's car, which is an all GT Pro lineup.
And I've got to say that when the Prince came out to Australia, he's the younger brother of Jeffrey, and he's not scared of anything, I can tell you. Seeing him in behind the wheel at QR and other circuits that we've been to, he's not afraid to send it. And it'll be interesting to see how he goes. Once he gets his head around this, he'll be really strong. And again, as I said, he came to Australia. He's full of enthusiasm. They're a great family, to be honest. They're really dedicated to get up to speed, understand. They're very willing to learn. But yeah, the young Prince here, he's, as I said, he's full of excitement.
Enthusiasm.
Enthusiasm, probably a better word.
Yeah. Unfortunately, his big brother out of the weekend.
Okay, mate.
I did have someone pose the question to me on Twitter, why can't they just put the 2 Princes in car 88? But unfortunately, with qualifying taking place, you can no longer shift drivers around in different cars at that point. Very good question, though. Let's check out the starts. Going to drive over the grid boxes, wait for the green, and light it up.
You can see there Liam Talbot just had a bit more of an overlap on Yasser just as the green flag came out. So he was very determined to make sure he got into that first chicane first. But everyone did a fantastic job through this. You can see 2 or 3 cars wide, funneling into this first chicane. There's the young Prince doing a nice job. Everyone doing a really good job navigating their way through that first chicane.
Yeah, Yasser driving smart there. Got
He had a
really
great
good exit.
run.
Wow, nowhere to go. He does have a handy size up his sleeve as well with the pit stop window, which we'll explain in a moment. Now, that car was in the fence earlier today in qualifying. They've done a great job to get it back out on track. And that's Gary Higgin at the wheel, sharing with Paul Stokel. And we've got one car, if you check out the box-in-box down the right-hand side, is unfortunately dropping down the order. And that'll be the Michael Sheargold car, car 45. And how about this moment? Tony Bates getting nice and close to the turn 8 wall. Still sitting third on timing, despite that little scrape.
You don't want to be hitting that any harder than that, that's for sure. Luckily, he just hit it square on. Hopefully, he's just sort of glanced off it, got away with it. Oh. That's what caused it. He showed the nose. Oh, and the Bentley. No, that was possibly the damage that happened at turn 9 when it ran up the back of the Merc, I'd say, for Matt Belford. Now, this is before the pit stop window as well, so they can't serve their CPS in this time, which would be frustrating for them, so they'll have to do a 2-stopper. Taking the bonnet off as well, so I wonder if it was maybe overheating as a result of some front damage. Getting back to the lead, Liam Talbot now with a 3-second gap over Shahin. That's the good news. The bad news is he's got a pit stop that'll be 7 seconds longer, so 94 seconds is pit stop time. In comparison to Shahin, 87 seconds. And with all due respect to Fraser Ross, that's incredibly formal for a race car driver. I feel underdressed. Looks like it's more like a Goodwood or yes, true. Getting ready for something else. I love it, the whole team. Well, if you're going to race a Bentley, you've got to dress to impress, so that makes a lot of sense. Hot day to be wearing a race suit and a blazer. Absolutely. It's Kelvin van der Linde, gears up, getting ready for work. So Liam Talbot sets the quickest first sector of the race. And that is one way to work your way through the centre chicane. Got away with that one, Ross Polakis in the AM entry. Here goes Scotty Taylor. Sending it down into turn 9. And then out of turn 9. A little bit ambitious, I think, on that one. Yep. But getting back to your pit stop side of it, it all depends on where you qualify, which is then where you get your sort of almost a penalty for qualifying so well. You sit in the pits for a little bit longer than what others do. So at the moment, as you mentioned, there is a bit of a deficit between Liam Talbot and Shahin when they come into their pits. So if Liam Talbot can get that 6 to 7 gap, it almost sort of cancels out. Bentley's taking a hop and a skip and a jump to get out of pit lane. Doesn't look too happy. I remember the Bathurst 12-hour when they famously accidentally turned the car off trying to get the pit limiter button. Well, I think he's still got the limiter on because the headlights are still flashing. Yeah. I think he's now just realised and got it off. Remember they changed the buttons around on the Bentley and they accidentally hit the off button at pit exit in a position to win the race at the 12-hour. I reckon that was 2019. Bentleys and pit limiters, a famous combo here in Australia. Must be a very busy steering wheel with a lot of buttons and things going on. Again, Liam Talbot sets the fastest first sector. So he's now got it out to a 3.8-second gap between first and second. So this is exactly what Liam needs to be doing. There's a GT4 to check out, a little less aero. Beautiful race car in its own right. About 10 seconds a lap slower around a 1 minute 20 circuit like this one here at the Adelaide Parkland circuit. Well, that was interesting because that GT4 was right in front of Shahin. And again, there's the other GT4 of Mark Griffiths. So he should be able to, Liam Talbot should be able to clear him now down before the first chicane he can. And yeah, massive. So Shahin got caught up with that other GT4. Now it's blown out the gap to 5.7 seconds. Brad Schumacher gearing up. Ready to go. Drove sublimely at the 12-hour this year. Unfortunately, just drove for a little bit too long in that race, and ultimately they were penalised for exceeding the maximum stint time. The Audis were on for a very good result at the 12-hour this year. Ended up going the way of a 888 prepared, one of these cars, Mercedes AMG. And Jules Gounon, who went back-to-back at the 12-hour with a fairly ripping stint at the end of that race, being chased by none other than Maro Engel and Shane van Gisbergen. That'll light a fire into anybody racing a GT car around the mountain. This is going to be interesting because the pit window opens up, you said, in the first 15, after the first 15 minutes. So we're about 20 seconds away, so probably a lap and a half away from, well, there's a bit of contact there between the Prince. So we're about a lap and a half away from opening up the pit window, and at the moment, as we said, we sort of needed like a 6 to 7 second gap between Liam Talbot and Shahin, and the gap at the moment is 6.5. So Liam's doing a great job there, just trying to get that crossover before he hands it over to Fraser Ross.
A little bit of a rub. Can't see too much debris bouncing down the road after them, so that's always a good sign that all the carbon fibre is exactly where it was at the beginning of turn 14. And Taylor, again, try as he might, to the inside of the Audi, and that is a little bit of carbon fibre, a little winglet ripping off the front. So, how close to the pit stop window are we? We've ticked over the 15-minute mark, so some drivers will elect to come in and make that driver change right now. It's going to be a busy little period here, and if you've got your AM driver in at the beginning of the race, which most of these drivers do, obviously, then now is the time to pit. Give your pro-ranked driver the most laps in the race, obviously make up the most time in the back half of this race, and potentially jag yourself a good result. So, for Liam Talbot, they must have just missed the pit lane entry. It is good news for Jamie Whincup, so they might make a little bit more time back here by pitting that extra lap earlier. Yeah,
definitely. It's really important to get the in and the out laps as quickly as possible, and we talk about that, especially like a place like Bathurst, getting out in track position, and also then just putting the first couple of laps down as hard as you can to open up the gap you can. You can just hear in the background the radio, making sure that there's some radio comms. There's Paul Stokel waiting to get into the Audi as well. So Liam Talbot's in. Wouldn't be surprised if Shahin follows him in.
So it's showing on timing. CPS window is open. That's compulsory pit stop time as Shahin goes by for another lap.
That's surprising.
Interesting strategy.
Just a couple of Audis in the lane at the moment.
The only other thing
that's the golden rule, Craig. I think that one, paying the bills, he wants to do a few more laps out here. Why not?
Well, yeah, that'll also, I think that maybe Yas has been a little bit smart. Why he goes another lap, these cars will clear the pit lane, so he'll have a clear entry and exit. At the moment, the pit lane is quite congested. There's Jamie just rejoining pit lane, the fast lane, so he'll get back out on track. And as I said, he'll be really focused to try and make that out lap as fast as possible.
Bates out, Van der Linde in. The team will have a moment to look at that car and make sure that it's A-OK after that little scrape of the turn 8 barriers.
You'll be able to see there the car controller with a stopwatch, so we're talking about that time that you have to sit and wait. Radio comms going on, watching that stopwatch.
They also have a little clock on the dash as well. If we swing around to the left, you'll be able to see just on top of the dash, they have a little timer right next to the right-hand side of the steering wheel, which will show up a pit stop number as well for the driver, just to make sure that they're not getting out of that pit lane a second earlier than they need to.
Now, does Yasser come in? He does not.
Going for it.
Maybe you're right. Maybe he's paying the bills, so I'm going to do extra laps.
It's the AM strategy, this one.
At the moment, it's Yasser's doing some very quick. He's getting faster and faster every lap, which is really encouraging and pleasing to see. But at the moment, you just got to make sure that you just don't stay out too long. While you've got pros out, Fraser Ross, Carl van der Linde, and Jamie Whincup all now in their respective cars, and they'll be much quicker, considering that they're doing minute 18s, 2 seconds faster than what Yasser Shahin is now circulating at.
Well, it was sort of their race to lose there for a moment for Yasser Shahin and Christopher Mies, because they had just under that 7-second advantage in the pit stop, and then they had Mies versus Fraser Ross for the back half of that stint. All due respect to Fraser Ross, but Christopher Mies is an absolute jet. So it was looking like it was going to be their race. But with these extra laps, they're just making the job a little bit harder for Christopher Mies in the back half of this race.
I think the team, if Yasser doesn't pit this lap, I think the team are making a massive mistake, because as you mentioned, now the pros are in the cars. They'll be cycling around and doing lap times much quicker than what Yasser is. Does he come in?
Yes, he does. Car 1 pits. So will this be enough to get Fraser Ross back in front of this car when it exits the pits in 87 seconds time? Very long pit stops. That also takes out any danger with AM drivers doing driver changes as well, if you're wondering why it's such a long pit stop. Yasser's day is done. Oh no, we've had a David Coulthard moment.
That's on pit entry.
Yeah. Remember the wet race we had here back in 2016? We had a couple drivers get stuck there on the pit entrance as well.
So Christopher Mies now climbing aboard the Audi. Yasser assisting as a driver assist. Make sure the big thing is making sure the radio is plugged in so you got communication. That was a very late call.
Whoops. Going, and gone. in the fence.
He'll get penalised for that, for crossing that chevron, not using the proper pit entry.
It's a shame they were running fourth at that point as well, so that's going to really hurt their chances. As Mies cues himself in. And this is the fight with the Audis coming back around. So the Shannon's insurance car is the effective race leader here. Notice Fraser Ross doing the job. And here comes Christopher Mies. Watch for the rejoin here at pit exit. They did have a shorter pit stop time, but those extra laps might be enough to seal it here. He's looking in the mirror, and he's out, he's clear. So they played their hand well enough to bring car one back out in the lead. Maybe they were just managing that extra gap they had.
I'll have to take my words back. The team have done a great job in managing that side of it, because you don't want to make sure that you've got Christopher Mies in the car at the right time, and as you mentioned, track position around here is really important. Now this is going to be the battle for second and third. So for Fraser Ross and Kelvin, and we know Kelvin, it was so fast in practice and qualifying. There we go, flashing the lights. That's a typical European thing to do. Flash the lights, try to distract the driver in front. As Scotty McLaughlin said, when you're in the Aussie cars, look forward, don't look back.
Did it work for you, that one? Flash the headlights?
Oh, absolutely.
There we go, Van der Linde on the charge now. You can see Christopher Mies skipping away up the road. He needs to get around the Shannon's insurance car in a hurry if he's going to win this race. Van der Linde had a lot of speed earlier in that qualifying session. He shows the nose, draws level.
Oh, it'll be a nice drag race now.
Here we go.
First chicane, who's going to blink first?
Do you dare take on one of the European GT stars in a steering contest? Game of chicken at turn one.
And he did.
He did, and he prevailed. Well done, Fraser Ross, showing his nerve down there at turn one that time by. Late move, turn four. Van der Linde is starting to feel that the nerve creep up here.
And he'll be frustrated because he can see in front, as you mentioned, you'll see where the other Audi is, Christopher Mies, and he'll want to get past Fraser Ross as quick as possible. 17 minutes to go. He knows every second and every minute he sits behind Fraser Ross, he is losing time.
That's filling the mirrors of the car ahead of you right there.
He'll be a big dive bomb here. There it is.
There it comes. Stands on that brake pedal, stops it at the apex, and he's got it done. That was big time commit. But he's got 4 whole seconds to make up now. It's all about track position.
An interesting thing with all that, with the traffic going on, the previous lap he actually set the fastest lap at the moment of an 18.9. So he's about 8 tenths off what they did in qualifying.
So get set here for the next 16.5 minutes, because Van der Linde is going to absolutely melt the tyres off that thing, trying to chase down Christopher Mies, which would be high-class entertainment. Side by side up towards turn 8, it's always interesting. There is a little line on the road there where you have to give way.
There is a gentleman's agreement. 2 into 1, don't go.
So he's still working his way through the field. He's popped out here in 7th, actually, so nice job, Mark Seni, just driving his own race inside the top 10.
And the good thing about this category, again, like Seni, who is the sole driver in the car, so you've got, you know, some combined drivers like Fraser Ross and Liam Talbot, and then you've got Seni, who's doing the whole race on his own, which is, it's a hard thing to do around here. 40 minutes inside a race car around a circuit we classify as one of the hardest races physically and mentally.
Was that did I just see a car spear off? Oh, it's bodywork. That's what it was.
Bodywork of the Bentley.
Right, I saw something just go hard left at turns 1 and 2, and it was a piece of...
Oh, has he got a flat tyre?
There's more to the story. The Bentley is pulling up. We're singing their praises of how tough they are, and unfortunately, the Bentley looks to have come unstuck here. It's more than just panel damage.
Yeah, it's got a flat front left tyre. So whether the body coming off that has caused the flat tyre, or whether the flat tyre has caused the body, I'm not sure, but...
It's Brett Hobson at the wheel. He has Dunlop Series experience here before streets of Adelaide. And was it due to the tyre bundle at turn 1?
I think you're correct.
Boom. Whoa. Wow. What do you reckon a Bentley headlight bouncing down the road is going to cost you this week, Craig?
I'm not sure, but it'd be a great souvenir.
It would be a great souvenir. You'd sign that, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. And keep it.
There it is.
There's the rest of the bodywork.
It obligingly got off the racing line, so that's the good news. It can stay, hopefully, green flag here. And Mies to Van der Linde has almost been halved. So Van der Linde flying at the moment. Car 24, keep an eye out for him. They've also got the numbers in the windscreens as well. That's not their race number, that's their position in the race, if you're wondering. It does tend to catch people out. You see for the first time, they're only class here this weekend running window positions. And that gap just got absolutely scythed down.
I reckon Christopher Mies has caught some lap traffic, because that's gone almost a second down. Now it's down to 0.7 of a second. So the battle's going to be on with just over 13 minutes to go for first and second. And we know these two are very much European spec drivers, that they won't give an inch.
Here we go. So this is the race leader, and there is the traffic. And behind him, there'll be another Audi. And there it is. Yep. Down towards turn 8. Or do they both get through here? Van der Linde will commit. And he sneaks through. That was committed. Bentley's in. It's been a tough race for both Bentleys. So the fight is now on. What was a 4-second gap has all but evaporated on this hot Adelaide summer's day. It's a fight between two of Germany's finest right now. These two Audis. There's one German driver up against the South African star, Van der Linde, and it's turned into a speedway race here as they pick their way through the traffic.
And that's Paul Morris in that red GT4, so he's obviously going to be a lot wiser and smarter to get out of this way. Lap traffic is always going to be a big issue over this race. You can see Fraser Ross in the background there. He's only just on 4 seconds behind these two, so he's doing a fantastic job. So if these leaders get caught up again in lap traffic, Fraser Ross right there, he's still got an opportunity to close the gap.
Here he goes. Whoa, that was from a long way back to the inside of Paul Morris.
And this is where the slower cars have definitely got to have their eyes focused on that rear vision mirror there. Paul Morris, very smart, very experienced in this circumstances, getting out of the way of all the traffic. And that's what you got to do. You don't want to get in someone else's way. You don't want to interrupt someone else's race. So if you are in a slower car like a GT4, at this point of the time, it's a bit of your awareness as well as team keeping you up to date with where the fast cars are.
Well, the arrival of Van der Linde in Mies' rear view camera has certainly lit him up here, because he's just at the fastest first sector of the race as he attempts to pin himself away from his factory Audi teammate.
This will be a great battle, as you mentioned. The two Europeans coming out, and they both don't want to give. They both want to go home and say that I beat you. I am the better Audi driver. And I know Christopher Mies really well, and he will definitely not want to go home second best.
It's a fascinating thing, the factory GT driver, whether it be for BMW, for Ferrari, for here we are with the Audis. They literally have one job to do. They fly around the world, they get plugged into whichever race car it is that they're driving for the day, and they drive the wheels off it, and they just go at a frenetic pace.
And it's about pride, there's no doubt. You talk to any race driver, the first thing you want to do is beat your teammate. And at the moment, although they're not in the same team, but they're from the same country, so they'll definitely want to make sure that Christopher Mies now makes that Audi as wide as he can. And as you mentioned, he's up the pace already. They're only a 10th apart that last lap, so Christopher Mies has now found some more speed.
It's all going to come down to the traffic the next 10.5 minutes, because if it stays green, there'll be plenty more of it. The big disparity in the numbers in terms of speed. The gap Mies to Van der Linde, 7/10. And it's 7 seconds between first and third, Fraser Ross. So they've opened up a fair margin. Here comes Whincup. He's trying to chase down Fraser Ross right now, but he's got about 18 seconds to make up. There's been some daring manoeuvres down at turn 4. Paul Morris
from a
won't be
long
overly
way
happy
back.
about that one.
No, that was a very late decision for the Audi to go up the inside. And like as I said, Paul Morris is very well experienced. He would have seen it coming, but he would not have thought that he'd continue to go through it that way.
Marty's car's looking a little worse for wear now.
Good job, mate. 7 to go, 7-1.
I reckon 7 to go, according to their math. Remember, it's a time race, not a lap race, but of course, some simple math to figure that out. How many green flag laps you can expect. His wing cup goes through the area of the track that caught him out recently in qualifying this morning. That was tight, relying on the ABS to hopefully pull him up before he found the back of the Audi.
That's Samadi in front.
Oh, here we go, turn 9 for the lead. That's real tight, they get together. The factory Audi boys are having at it. This is awesome stuff. Sensational racing between Mies and Van der Linde. Absolutely lit the wick on that one down at turn 9. So what are the rules here between Audi factory boys? Are they allowed to brawl in this manner? Mies goes defensive at turn 14. There's still 8 minutes left of this. Van der Linde pouring the pressure on.
Van der Linde is so much more confident under brakes, where Christopher Mies seems to be a little bit more vulnerable in that area, but don't take anything away.
How about turn 4? We've seen some pretty aggressive moves down here. Van der Linde just sat back for a few laps. Got those tyres back to where he wanted them, and there's more traffic to come. Stick with this battle because it's going to be on here through up the staircase. Look how many cars are just around the corner. This is awesome stuff. And how about this? Turn 9.
So late, mounting the curb, bouncing into the back of Christopher Mies' Audi, getting it sideways.
There's this one at the exit too.
And then there was another, another.
1, 2. So they banged wheels at least 3 times.
And there's Christopher saying, go away.
Covered him off. Now they've got a lapper in between them. That's Brad Schumacher leading his trophy championship. Wants nothing to do with this fight. Gets out of the way, but that just gives a couple car lengths back towards Christopher Mies. Is it better to be the hunter or the hunted in this scenario?
I think being the hunted is probably the best because you can control it a little bit better, especially when you're under attack like that. You can position the car where exactly you want to put it, so you've got no opportunity to stick the nose in. Although, saying that, Kelvin will definitely have a look. As I said, he'll be a little bit frustrated with that lap traffic. He's sending it straight over that curb. There's more traffic ahead here with these two, so...
Oh, this is in front of the leaders.
Oh,
watch out, where's it gonna go? They both get away with it. Oh, man. This is full-on Audi warfare out there. We had the Audi R8 up here a few times, and it's a bit like that. So the leaders are all over the back now. Another lap car. And this is captured right at the right time here.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's going to be frustrating for Christopher Mies because he's the bull bar. He needs to get through this traffic, and Calvin's just going to follow him through, like he'll probably do not quite this time around. But when you're the lead car, you're the pioneer. You've got to make your way and break through this lap traffic, and then as you're the second car, you just follow them through. So he's just fallen off a little bit now, but this was a bit messy with these two.
Yeah, this was stoked. Highly entertaining. Opening race, we've got 2 more of these. Oh. Did a good job to get on the brake, man. Had that rolled backwards, it could have been all over for the 2 leading Audis. That was Sphere Honduras in the Super Barn Audi. Plenty of experience in GT racing. 6 minutes to go. 1.3 seconds now. Separates the 2 Audi boys.
Oh, something falling off the back of Calvin's one there, so there's a little bit of carbon debris falling off it. Maybe that contact they had down in turn 9 maybe have readjusted his front.
I think they're stripping a bit of paint off the curbs down there as well when they bounce over them. World's most expensive paint strippers, so these things.
So this curbs for Yasser Shahin will be unbelievably a great result.
Yep, with guys fighting for a championship sitting back in 3rd right now. A chance here to blow that championship apart here with 2 more races to go. Unless Van der Linde can buy back into it. Imagine the ramifications that would have had for Yasser Shahin's championship. The 2 ring-ins tripped over each other.
And as a driver and attitude, when you come in like this, you really don't care about your other teammates'
scenario.
Yeah, you just want to win for yourself as well. A little bit selfish like that. And then Christopher Mies has done a great job. He's managed that gap now. And they're both seesawing different better sector times. So that last minute, Mies, almost identical lap times.
18.4 against an 18.7.
So Christopher Mies is definitely picked up the pace now. He's definitely more comfortable in the later stages of this race.
Is Van der Linde called off the dogs here, or is he going to go for one last charge, maybe just letting those Pirelli tyres take a breather?
He's going to come, if he doesn't get on it, if he is sort of cruising around and trying to get the Pirellis under temperature again, now I think he's called almost a day. It's now fallen out to a 1.8 gap, so I think he's quite happy to settle for second. It's only just under 4 minutes to go, so there's probably 2 laps, maybe 3 laps to go. As the 88 car, Jamie Whincup, comes into the pits.
Well, that is an unscheduled pit stop. And I wonder if this is a little hangover from the incident they had earlier. Let's listen.
On oil, yeah, mate, shut it down.
Sounds like they had oil pressure problems.
130 oil, engine temperature's fine.
Just trying to hear in the background there. It sounded like it was an oil pressure problem. They asked him to shut the engine down straight away. So it might have been a carryover from the incident, whether it was with all the repairs going on, whether they've had an oil line or something else come loose, or they've had to remove something to replace something. That's always the danger when after a crash that you don't know whether you've got every element of the race car back together perfectly.
Okay, man.
The royalty watching on from pit lane. And unfortunately, neither 888 cars will see a checkered flag here. Well, the Placas car, despite being parked in the fence at pit entry, he's popped out in 4th. So he got away with that one.
That's a great sounding car. It's got a huge amount of torque with that V8, big 6.2 litre V8 in the front of it. It's got a huge amount of torque. The acceleration of that is amazing.
And unfortunately, the sister AMG in the pits is out for the race, so no points for them. 3rd in the race, Fraser Ross doing a nice job. As Van der Linde sets the quickest 2nd sector of the race so far, so maybe just having one last charge. The gap is 1.1 seconds, so he's already he seems like he's got the ability to take chunks out of Mies when he wants to.
Yeah, I think there's always a difference between closing the gap and then trying to find a way past the competitor in front. You can see that quite evidently there, that Kelvin can definitely close the gap down to Christopher Mies, but he just can't find a way past. And Christopher Mies knows extremely well. He's very experienced through Europe, and both of them are. There's Jamie Whincup now out of the car talking to Romy and Roland Dane. There's Andrew Simpson, who half runs that organisation, trying to work out what's going on. Hopefully they'll get that thing repaired for the next race. But you can see Christopher Mies there flashing the headlights. He knows how important this is. Minute and a half to go on this race, so there's probably 2 laps left. And now the gap's still now just done over 1 second. So yeah, Calvin Van der Linde, he can close that gap, you're right, but finding a way past is always the hard part.
Oh, Garth Walden doing a nice job at just leaving the door open. And then nearly closed it on Van der Linde's fingers. And there's more going on in the minors. This time it's Mark Sini. He's able to drive away from the scene down there. Well, the Stupas car as well, caught up in this one. Turn 4 has been where all the incidents are in this one today. I feel like I've seen that crash 5 times in this race.
Deja vu. Just different coloured cars.
Oh, Tom Sargent, yep, snuck his way through there. Was there more to this? Did they have another one just then?
Or is Sini trying to readdress it?
Right, that could be the case. Okay then, dying stages of this one, and the fight is back on. Theo Kandiris now, the cork in the bottle. And they've caught him at a really awkward time, so Van der Linde will get one more go at this. He's there. He's right there with him. And turn 9 is the spot. They need to both clear him through here. Can they both get through the traffic by turn 8? Can he get back onto the racing line now and carry some speed through here? Does he dare at turn 9? has one last go.
He'll look. But Christopher Mies shuts the door. He knows how to place and where to place that Audi. He definitely had a look, which is what he wanted to do. He wanted to try and upset and take the vision away from looking for... Oh, that was a big slide. Now you got another approach to turn 14.
And it is the last lap, last chance. These two have put on a show. He goes defensive. A chance for a switchback, maybe. It's got parts hanging off it, but Christopher Mies holds his nerve to take the checkered flag in an Audi 1-2. Well, the party will be in Hahndorf tonight as that GT race put on a show. Mies from Van der Linde from Ross. Shahin will take a huge sigh of relief, extends his championship lead. Goodness me, how about the drama late in the race there with Mies getting the massive power slide and clipping the fence, getting away with it.
Well, you can't say they weren't trying to the checkered flag. And imagine Shahin down in the garage when you saw that big slide out of turn 11. Like, that could have quite easily turned into a monumental. If he got the tyres a little bit harder, it would have flicked the nose in. But both of them doing a fantastic and putting on a huge and a great display.
Well, that was fabulous stuff. 40 very entertaining minutes. Shahin and Christopher Mies get the win here for the Ben Motorsport Park. Based about 2 hours from where we're sitting right now. Bates and Van der Linde come second this time by. Nice job from Liam Talbot. He led the early stages of that race. Fraser Ross succumbing to the two pros, that's fair. In his Shannon's Insurance Cup, it takes a good bunch of points and keeps that championship fight alive. And Matty Belford and the sister Bentley having some issues down the back of the pack. Looking forward to seeing some highlights of this one because there was a few. Let's just relive some of those, Craig.
Liam Talbot doing a great job getting it off the line. Yasser filing in, and they all did a fantastic job navigating their way through this first chicane, going too wide. Yasser got a really good run off that, couldn't get it done. And that turn 8, that's one of the most exciting corners as a race driver, and there Liam doing a great job opening up the gap on the earlier parts of this race. Bates there just kissing the wall and getting away with it. You wouldn't want to hit that any more harder than that.
So the pit stop window opened up at the halfway point of the race. The AM drivers got out, the pros got in, and that really set us on a course for an exciting finish. The Shannon's Insurance car was sitting in second place with Fraser Ross. Kelvin Van der Linde moved to the inside. And at that point, there was a 4-second deficit to make up to Christopher Mies, but with so much action going on around them, like this one down at turn 1, the Bentley peeling away some body panels and a left front headlight as well, bouncing down the road. Neither Bentley would make it to the checkered flag, sadly. As a result, they're big and robust, but the track was just that little bit more robust today. And then this, the fight for the lead. Big time aggression. Van der Linde to the inside, climbing on the curbs, tagging his factory teammate. They swapped some carbon fibre down there under the gum trees, and it would continue. Last lap, both cars hit the fence, both cars hit each other, and they still came home 1-2, brawling in a dogfight all the way to the checkered flag. That was great. 40 minutes of entertainment. Shahin and Christopher Mies get the win in the Ben Motorsport Park Audi R8 GT3. Looking forward to 2 more of those races, Craig.
And the best thing is race 2, those 2 start the race.
Start on the front row. We're looking forward to that one a bit later on. Okay, we need to turn our attention to what's to come today at the Velo Adelaide 500. We've got the S5000 Tasman Series about to head on out there and wow the crowd with their wings and slicks and the big thumping V8. So stick with us. It's going to be a big afternoon here at the Velo Adelaide 500.